And I was over looking at him signing books, and I said, that's why I can never get Alton down. I can't get him down as often I would like. He had a line, it must have been of 1,000 people at that book signing. Every time he comes to South Beach. When he was down at South Beach 3 or 4 years ago, we created a kids' kitchen around him, and there was nobody. I must tell you, I have a niece and a nephew, both under 10 years of age, and all they want is something about Alton. You know, is Alton. They're always disappointed with their uncle. They can get everybody but Alton Brown. I'm not saying that's all he's talking about, but, you know, this is one busy man. He's a great friend. He is a wonderful human being, and truly, I think, one of the great names on the Food Network. It's my pleasure to welcome Alton Brown.
Thank you. That was adequate. Thank you. Did Lee already scuttle up? That was more than I deserved. Thank you. Checks. And Brooke, yeah, okay, I see where you are, so I know who to play. Are you staying, Brooke?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Well, I have to be nice while she's in the room. I'm very careful about what I say. Thank you for coming. I usually like to start, with photographs. But before we dive in, I want to answer a couple of questions, see if anybody's got any burning questions on their minds today that they got to get off their chest. We have microphones with the Richard the Children's Show this morning, so you have to crouch you over. Anybody have a question that anybody wants to do? Yes, ma'am. Just stand up and holler, and we'll get a few of these out of the way. Go ahead.
If you could face any Iron Chef,
If I could face, I don't like it.
who would you pick and why?
Who would I pick and why if I was having to be in our chef? My first question is, who's doing my job? Because that's what concerns me most. What?
Guys.
Guy Fieri's doing my job? Can I challenge Guy Fieri? Okay, but you probably know the actual art chefs.
Correct.
None. Ask your every Jews out there. No, I couldn't possibly. Morimoto. I would simply have to pay off the secret ingredient people to make sure it's not fish. It's not fish. I've got a chance. Maybe. Probably not, actually. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any words of encouragement for an aspiring food writer?
For an aspiring food writer?
Sure.
Aspiring words. Get a real job. Here's the thing, that people that don't realize that writing is actually work just like any other kind of work. And you either just do it or you don't do it. And that's kind of all, you know. You got to have a voice and you got to be able to type. And outside of that, it's all elbow grease. You know, it's work. Like anything else. So get to work. Yes, ma'am. Be up there. Stand. Yes, up. Yes.
How did you become so scientific?
How did I become so scientific? I became really scientific by not being a terribly good cook. I had miserable science grades in high school and college. In fact, in high school I flunked both chemistry and biology. And in college I simply dropped them so that I wouldn't. That comes my nose. Like right into the day. Oh, today's. Oh, yeah. I dropped that right away. But when I started, I went to culinary school because I wanted to get the background to make good eats. As soon as I got to culinary school, I realized, wow, I'm not terribly talented, which was a shock. Thinking that I sold the house, you know, and gone up to culinary school. But I realized that I could make food better than I ordinarily did if I understood what was going on. So I started studying. And all the answers came up, science! And so science made me a better cook. And I think that the cooking also made me a better student of science. Because I don't think I flunk anymore. At least, not 101. I can make it through chemistry 101. Anyone else before we dive in? Yes, ma'am.
Did you come up with the concept for Good Eats? Was that your show originally? And, you know, how did that show?
Yeah, that was, I actually, when I was still back in my previous life in the film business, came up with the idea for Good Eats before I went to culinary school. So yeah, it was kind of like this mishmashy strange show. Which, by the way, we just finished our 200th episode. almost 10 years of shooting. During the almost 10 years of shooting, I have, let's put it this way. Was sitting watching TV with my daughter. I have an 8-year-old daughter who doesn't know a world without good eats. She said, "Daddy, will there always be good eats?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, honey." Brooke Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. This really old Good Eats episode came on before she was born, and she got this really kind of evil look on her face and said, "Hey, Dad, who's that thin guy with hair?" It is true that in looking back at early episodes, there was less of me to look at, and I realized a couple of years ago, and this is something men, particularly husbands, will understand. A couple of years ago, came home, and you ever notice how any of your wives communicate with you specifically through the bedside table? It's almost like a seance with a living person. And when you speak through something, and I came home from a road trip, and there was on the bedside table a copy of a book. It was the Atkins Diet. This was a strong message. Sent to a guy in the food business, Atkins. Especially since I think he just died. Didn't make anything from my wife's argument, but so I ignored the book completely for at least 3 months. And finally, I questioned her. She said, "Well, you could lay off the snacks." It's true. I am a snacker. I am a grazer by nature. Buffets. It's not something that we don't really need chairs at a buffet. It's stand-up eating. So what's that? No calories if you don't sit? Well, everybody get up. I certainly did. Anyway, so I kind of, a couple of years ago, I made this oath. I said, okay, I'm going to find a way to snack smarter. And I'm going to get better nutrition through smarter snacking. And I started looking back at kind of the history of snacks. And I went back to my Boy Scout days. Anybody here a Boy Scout when you grew up? Yeah, down south there's really just not much else to do. You're a guy, you want to dress snappy, you go in the Scouts. I like the uniform. Anyway, when I was a kid, clapping for Boy Scout uniform?
What do you want?
Your husband's an Eagle Scout. Ron's an Eagle Scout. You're the Navy guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
So straight from, well, I broke the chain before the military. Actually, I gave up well before Eagle Scout, but that's another story. The knots. Anyway, so I decided, all right, I'm going to be a better snacker. And I went back to my Boy Scout days, which had been fun days. Everybody has assistants in their kitchen, right? I have to. Hopefully I won't mess up anything too early. Anyway, make a long story short, when I was a kid and I was in Boy Scouts, I was a huge fan of jerkies. I loved all kinds of jerky. And so I thought, well, that's fine, that's what we need. And so I went down to, because we used to buy it at gas stations, places like that, out of these jars. And so I go down to the gas station, I got this stuff that said jerky, it said